What is good, ECAM fam? Somebody done messed up. I said somebody done messed up. Who gave me my own show on ECAM's page? I don't know, but somebody done messed up. Hey, somebody done messed up. Somebody done messed up. Hey! What is good, ECAM fam? Oh my gosh, I know y'all weren't ready for this. Hey, listen up. We coming with the energy today. You feel me? If you sitting down watching this live stream thinking it's about to be some normal basic, we gonna be talking about, how to build a live stream and I'm gonna take notes. You better wake up. I already saw somebody in the chat. Where you at, George? George says, Brandon is making me tired with all this dancing. Yo, you better wake up, George. Because if you are not excited about building your live stream show, what are you doing here? I'm being serious. What are you doing here? Let's get the energy up. Hey, eCam knew what they signed up when they put my name on the list. They knew what they was getting. I have no apologies. And the best part about all this is we are live right now. Or as we say, we are live. We are live right now. So they can't edit me. They can't stop me. I'm coming with the facts today. And I'm coming with that energy. Let's see who we got in the house today. Of course, we got George. And George is getting his energy up. Go get yourself a Red Bull. Get yourself a coffee. Go get what you need, George. Let's get it going. I see Miss Jill in the chat right now. I see Simply Taisha. I need half of his energy. You can have the whole thing. It's yours. It's a gift from me to you. Because the best part about this energy is I can give it to you and I still get a chance to keep it too. Let's get it going. Brandy Joe in the chat. She laughing. Hey, you better be ready for it. Mark, no. That Roadcaster. Oh, it's going to be on fire all day today. Oh, Vinroy? Vinroy in the chat as well. Oh, y'all better get ready. Y'all better be hype. Because we got a great show for you. And I say we because here's the thing I love about live streams. It is a you and me conversation. It's not just me. It's you and it's me. So every time I say we, I'm talking about us. Because that's the whole benefit of doing it live. If you're doing it by yourself, then you can say you. If you're shooting a video, then you can say you. But if you're live, we doing this together. So shout out to y'all for making it today. I am super excited about today's episode. Hopefully, y'all have already caught the energy, the vibe of the show. First and foremost, welcome to the first episode of Anatomy of a Live Show. I have a theory. I'm going to try to keep it brief, all right? I'll try to keep it brief. When it comes to live streaming, when it comes to podcasting, when it comes to making long form videos, we're all building a show. And when it comes to building your show, you gotta start it off right. And if you agree with me, let me see the thumbs up in the chat. Let me see the thumbs up in the chat. Because here's the deal. When it comes to building your show, this is everything. And here's the best part about building your own show is you get a chance to make it what you want to make it. When I started working with eCam and we started coming up with the idea to do this thing, I was like, I get a chance to build a whole new show. All right, here's the best part. At the beginning, we're starting with the energy because I want the energy up from the very, very beginning because you set the tone with your show. The other nice thing about building a show is you have the opportunity to craft it for the type of audience you ultimately want to serve. Look, I want people in the chat that's got energy because I love the engagement. So if I start the show off with energy, if you can't handle it, you probably gonna dip, right? But the people who gonna stay are the people who want to learn, the people who want to have a good time, and the people who have the energy that it takes to make a difference. Look, I am super excited to announce that we have 8 strong weeks of this show. We are going to be doing 8 weeks, part of this mini series. Every single week, we're going to be tackling a different topic. And here's the best part. The way I crafted this is it doesn't matter if you've been streaming for 30 years or if you've been streaming for 30 minutes. You're going to be able to take something out of this, even down to not only the tech and the gear that we talk about, but also when we start talking about monetization, because let's not front, it can be a little expensive trying to do some of this stuff, especially once you start getting into the lights, the cameras, the microphones, all the things. I'm definitely going to be talking to you guys about how you actually go about making money using your platform. But ultimately, it starts with the show. And so that's what we're going to be covering today. Today is episode 1. We're talking about building a show for replay and engagement. I've already seen it. Y'all already winning in the chat. I see the engagement. I see the thumbs up. I see the parties. I see the party going down in the chat right now. George woke up. George said, all right, I can deal with the dancing. I ain't going nowhere. George is here to play. Caroline's here to play. She hit the thumbs up. Miss Jill says, here for all of it. I hope so, because we definitely got some work to do. He says, I'm sensing some past DJ experience. So here's a funny story. Quick little side note. I have never been a DJ, but my dad was a DJ. And as a kid, I grew up going to all the parties that I probably shouldn't have been in because I was way too young to be up in there. But if you can imagine 20 years, man, I don't want to date myself too much. Some years ago, right? Me and my dad used to have to walk into these parties, and he needed me to carry around the milk crates full of vinyls. Yeah, okay, I dated myself, whatever. But we used to run around with that. DJ LA Steve, shout out to my dad, DJ LA Steve. I love you, man. All right, let's get into this. We got some stuff to cover today. Before we go too far, though, I'm realizing that some of you may know who I am, but some of you maybe don't know who I am and really don't have any clue as to like why Ecamm decided to work with me. Because honestly, I asked myself the same question 5 minutes before we went live. I was like, really? Me? All right, cool. Bet. Let's do it. So check this out. I am a longtime filmmaker, kind of new up-and-coming streamer. So my name is Brandon Washington. I've been in the filmmaking space for over 10 years, shooting projects for big brands here locally in the Houston area, as well as brands online. Some of the brands I've worked with, DJI, Verizon, Red, I'm trying to think of some other ones, the NFL. I've worked with some pretty amazing groups on the filmmaking side. And because of that, I've been able to also teach my journey and share my journey over on my main YouTube channel. And over on my main YouTube channel is really where I share a lot of my filmmaking stuff. But a few years ago, I kind of got the bug for live streaming. And I liked it. I played around with it, but I was a little afraid. I'm not going to lie. I was a little nervous because going live is a little scary. You can't edit it. You can't change it. And as a filmmaker, I know I can edit and change anything. So I got scared. But about a year and a half ago, I decided, what the heck, let's do it. So I decided I wanted to start live streaming. And I started with a live stream podcast show. Now, full transparency, when I started, I didn't really know what it was. If you go back and watch like the very first episode, my wife is on it. I was sitting at a desk and there was a chair and I had my friend Jarrell with me. But slowly over time, we crafted this show into what it is now, where now we go live every single Friday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. So literally this exact same time tomorrow, you can check out my show, which is linked down below in the description. We go live every single Friday. We talk about cameras. We talk about the latest news. We talk about gear. We talk about filmmaking. We talk about AI. We talk about all the things live, and we do that via our show. And man, oh man, is it a ton of fun. But I will tell you, over the last year and a half, I learned that live stream shows is where it is at. You know, I'm sure some of y'all know him, Mr. Camera Junkie, a.k.a. Mr. Luis, a.k.a. Mr. If I have a problem, I'm going to call him. He actually said this quote to me, and it made so much sense. And he said, videos build audiences, but live streams build communities. And when he said it, everything snapped for me. Everything just sort of came so clear. But I understand that live streaming is just part of the process. Ecamm gives us a ton of amazing tools. The platform itself is absolutely stellar in allowing us to do really cool things like overlays and being able to bring in music and have videos and transitions and like all this awesome stuff that you see. But at the heart of it, before you go live, before you ever press go live, there is a process of crafting what is your show? What is your live stream? Right? And so that is the purpose of these next 8 weeks. The next 8 weeks, we're going to be talking about how you actually go about building your show. So that way you can build something that you can replicate and do week over week, but also start to see real success, start to see all of the goals that you have in mind come to fruition because you actually sat down and you took the time to think about it. So really quick, before we get any further, I have a quick little deal for y'all. All right, chat, you got to engage here. Question of the day. What is the biggest challenge you face with your live stream show right now? Now, I mentioned this already. If you podcast, that's a live stream show, even if you don't film it live, right? But I'm sure if you're on this channel, you're probably thinking about it, right? So do you, one, have any issues within that process? Or if you live stream just by yourself, like what I'm doing right now, what is the biggest challenge you face there? If you're a gamer, what's the biggest challenge you face there? I want to know in the chat if you are one of those people who are like, ooh, I don't know. I'm just listening. I don't know if I want to engage. Pull your phone out of your pocket for like 5 seconds and put what your biggest challenge is. Because I really want to know so that way we can continue to craft this show for you. And that's one of the things that I love about being able to do ongoing shows like this is because literally we can pull the comments, we can pull the chat, and that can literally influence future episodes. And so don't be afraid, don't be nervous. Do me a favor in the chat, go ahead and answer the question of the day, which is what is your biggest challenge that you face with your live stream show? I really want to know. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hop into the chat real quick, do some quick engagement stuff like you're supposed to, and then we're going to get into the meat of the conversation. So, Video Like Dad says, I might pull a muscle, but I'll push through it. Yo, Video Like Dad, you better get to dancing. You better get to dancing. I can't pronounce this. I don't want to butcher it. Especially not live. But it says, how much delay are you experiencing? I'm not really experiencing any delay. Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know if y'all experiencing any delay. But I feel like the stream's going really good. I feel like you guys are rocking with me, and I'm having a good time. I'm having a really good time so far. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into some of these quick questions that you guys are currently throwing up in the chat, because I do think that these are some really good ones that we're gonna touch on. We're definitely gonna get on to some of these. All right. Joseph says, the biggest challenge with live stream is no audience traffic. Therefore, I would just be sitting there talking to myself in an empty room. You know what's funny? I don't think enough people talk about this, but this is such a good point, is that every time you go live, right? Every time you go live, you are taking a risk that says, will anybody actually be here to consume this? And you know what? I'm going to tell you the secret to breaking that. I promise. It's going to be so much fun. Simply, Taisha says, my biggest challenge is navigating the comments. Ooh. All right, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. I normally don't do this because I know we got to keep it moving. But my question is, are you having challenges navigating the comments post the video, like you're nervous about what other people are going to say, what other people think, or are you challenged in navigating them live because they're just ripping through so fast and you're having a hard time actually nailing it? I want to know. I got a follow-up question. I know. Not supposed to ask follow-up questions, but I'm asking a follow-up question. All right, let's see if there was any other questions that came in. Caroline says, figuring out how to organize a live stream. I'm a photography blogger, but would love to try it. Ooh, you came to the right show. You came to the right show. Because that's literally what today's episode is all about. We're going to be talking about how you organize your live stream and set it up for success. And then learner to learner. By the way, learner to learner, I just discovered your channel thanks to Doc, and it's fantastic. But he says, my biggest challenge is creating show notes at the end of a live stream. Ooh, show notes at the end of a live stream. Now, I don't know if my post-show routine is the best, but I'm going to share it because I've seen success with it. Bars. Get with me. All right. Upstate Pickleball and Paddle says, biggest challenge is cable connectivity and consolidating the cables in a minimal hard drive. Yeah. I mean, figuring out the tech. I think I spent the entire first year of my run just trying to figure out the tech. So really excited about that. Jeremy says, sticking to the run of your show without looking like you're trying to stick to the run of the show. Here's the nice thing about live streaming. I feel like live streaming is where you get the most grace because people are just willing to go with the flow. There's that certain element, that certain energy of like, ooh, I don't know what's going to happen next. Ooh, he might mess up. Something could go wrong. That energy allows you that flexibility to just be able to do what you want to do. And like, even today, I'll show y'all. I have a run of the show today. I'm going to show y'all the run of the show today. I'm already off schedule, but it's going to be all right. Hitting the live button. Ooh, I'll tell you. I don't know if I should give it away. I'm going to give it away. Schedule it and then start telling people. And like, find a time that works for you and schedule it and go live. I know it's tough. All right. So let's go ahead and hop into the meat of the episode, because for some people who are watching this on the replay, they're not getting as much value in the comments because they can't provide their comments. But I'll tell you, if you are watching this on the replay, please leave your comments. Leave your comments and let me know what is your biggest challenge, because I will address it next week, even if you can't make it live. Because every single week, like I said, for the next 7 weeks, including today, this is episode 1. We're going to have 8 episodes of this. We're going to be tackling what it takes to put together a live stream. Starting off today with talking about building a show for replay and engagement. Now, why does the replay matter? Here's the actual secret. Here's the sauce. When it comes to live streaming, you will grow when you are not live streaming. Ooh. I need a button for like a choir to say amen. You know what I mean? Like, let me amen myself with the button. I'm going to figure that out for next week. But like, check this out. You will grow when you are not live streaming. If you think about most live streams, most podcasts, most long form pieces of content that you consume, 9 times out of 10, you were brought into it because of shorter form content. Now, I know this isn't new to anybody, but the reason why you want to start thinking about short form content is because I personally believe that the secret to live streaming is the ability to create mass amounts of content in a very limited amount of time. For example, within this show already, I have already addressed questions. Each of those questions can be a short. I have already set the tone for the show. My dancing intro, that could be a short, a reel, a TikTok, whatever you want to call it. I am creating micro pieces of content while I'm currently live streaming. And so the reason why the replay matters the most and why creating additional pieces of content matter the most is because most people can't make it live. Look, we have 35 beautiful, amazing people currently watching this stream live, but I can guarantee you post this stream will go on to do way more than 35 views, okay? This video will go on to live and make way more views than the 35 that are currently rocking at this very moment. And it's those people who catch you on the replay who will inevitably become the same people who enjoy hanging out with you live. And so when it comes to your live stream, you have to think about the replay. So if you're thinking about the replay, and you're thinking about the mindset of creating content, making sure that your content is engaging and ready for the replay, you have to kind of think about your content in a way that says, if someone were watching this back as a video, how would they consume it? Now, luckily with YouTube, we have the ability to go in and sort of trim videos as needed. However, if you go live like I did today, and I started with my loading screen, it's a very clear screen. At a certain point, I had a video bumper play, and then I was live. And the reason why I set it up that way is because when it comes to the bumper video, I know that's where I'm going to trim my YouTube video to start. The bumper will play, and then if you were here at the beginning, you saw I came with the energy, I came with the dance moves, I had the music, I had the things that would catch somebody off guard, take their attention, and draw them into now what is a video for them. Because the experience is different when you're watching a live on replay. You don't feel the same engagement, that same real-time energy, that energy that says, oh, I can comment at any time and ask a question. You know that you're watching a replay, therefore the energy is different. So when you're creating your video, when you're creating your live stream, you want to come out the gate ready to go. Come out the gate with your live stream excited, ready, because when it comes to the replay, that's what's needed. Also, I gave a full background to what we were going to go over early into the stream. So that way, as we were literally streaming, if you're watching it on the replay, you know exactly what to expect. And you're here, you're excited, you're ready, and we're going to get it going. So I got a question for you. Chat, I need you to sound off. When it comes to watching replays, what typically causes you to click off? I want to know. Put it in the chat. If you're watching a live stream on replay, what causes you to click off? Because I know a lot of times it's like, ooh, this is like an hour long. Do I have time to consume an hour long? I don't know. So that it might just be time, but I want to know what causes you to click off. If you're watching this on the replay, put that in the comments too. Because here's the thing. What normally causes you to click off is what's going to cause somebody else to click off of your replay as well. And as I mentioned already, if somebody is watching your video on replay, that is the audience that could potentially want to show up and actually watch you live. So we want to try to negate all of those issues when we're live streaming, so that way people can actually want to watch and then choose to subscribe and then want to tune in live. All right? Now, let's talk about a few things that you can do right now to really enhance your video for replay. I'm a huge proponent of cutting videos up. In fact, I think I actually have a little deal here. I'm pretty sure I set it up right. We're going to see. All right, so this is my main channel, which, as most people probably can imagine, I just upload videos, typically about cameras and filmmaking gear, yada, 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 whoop, whoop, right? However, on my uncensored podcast channel, it is notorious for us to go live and then share clips from those episodes. Now, every time we go live on a Friday, we typically are live for about an hour 45 to 2 hours, somewhere in that range. You know, we try to normally cut it off around 2 hours, but we go live for roughly about 2 hours. And out of those episodes, it is not unlikely for us to have at least 5 clips. And when I say clips, just so that we're very clear, I'm talking about a video that is 8 to 12, sometimes 15 minutes from our conversation. But here's the thing. It's never an accident. Can I show you? I'm going to show y'all something. It's a little different, but let me show you exactly what we do. Check this out. It's going to feel a little old school because it's not digital, but you know what? What works, right? Y'all see that? This is my actual whiteboard that we use every single Friday for every single episode. And as you can see, there are 6 topics on this board. Now look, I told you it's not an accident. It's not a game. We keep it real. Before every live stream, I genuinely think of what are 6 pieces of content I could walk out of this live stream with, and then I have bullet points, and I go through those bullet points throughout the show. This helps you in so many ways. First off, when your show starts to feel like if the audience starts to feel like, well, we kind of already, we get it, then it lets you know where you can go to next. So now you're not live trying to figure out what to do. Also, when it comes to your clips, you don't have to think, all right, what would be valuable within this live stream? You already wrote it down before the show even started. And so what it does is it gives your show structure, but it also allows you to know exactly what moments could hold value and have clips. Now, check this out. One of the most important things that you can do is know when you're going to clip. See, listen to the, did you see what I just did there? Watch this. I'll do it one more time for you. I'll do a different version. I think the number one thing that most people forget is knowing how to structure their show for the clips. What I just did was I introduced a hook. All right? Those were hooks, and those are hooks that work on social. The number one thing people don't understand, or the one thing that'll change your business, I am able to add in a hook before I jump into a new topic. And by having your topics on board, not only does it allow you to know what you should talk about, but it also gives you a marker on where you should add in a hook. Because then when you go to watch the clips, you can know exactly where the hook is going to be based off the new topic. And you know when it comes to creating clips for replay, you're able to do all the best video practices, including having a hook that gathers people's attention and makes them want to stick around and watch the rest of the clip. And if they enjoy the clip, this is something else that's really important to know. At the end of your clip, you should have a strong call to action. Now, I'll tell you the way that I've done it on my clips. I pre-recorded 10 call to actions, 10 end screens. And depending on, I know that the topic is different. Sometimes we're talking about one camera brand, sometimes we're talking about another camera brand. And so because of that, I have different calls to action depending on what the topic of the video could be. And in each of them, I always ask for one, maybe two things, max. Because if you ask people too many things, they're out. They're not going to listen, right? Or they might do nothing. So here's the deal. If you ask them to either subscribe, or if you have a consistent time that you go live, which in my case, it's Friday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time every single Friday. Never fails. We go live. Then you can invite them to the live stream. Those tend to be the two things that I like to do. Now, if you don't have a consistent time, definitely invite them to watch another clip. And that's something else. I will have that on the screen. So if it's on the screen, sometimes I don't always feel the need to say, click right here and watch another clip. But I have a bunch of different versions. And here's the nice part about shooting a few different iterations is you can actually then go in and look at your metrics within YouTube and see which one converts better. Which one drives subscribers, which one drives people to watch another video. You can check those metrics and then run those multiple times. So by far, I would recommend doing that. Now, I'm going to go into the chat really quick because I know a few of you guys had some comments on if or what causes people to click off. So Miss Jill says, I click off when they keep teasing me that they're going to get to the point and they never do. I also click off when there's more attention to the chat's inside jokes and I feel left out. Now, I personally believe that there is something to having inside jokes. It builds that community, right? But you always have to understand that there are new people that are here. And this is one of the reasons why I'm gonna look, I've told my audiences, they know this. So if you rock with me from my channels, you already know this. But I'm dyslexic. I'm really dyslexic. So when it comes to pronouncing names, man, there's a strong chance I'm going to get it wrong. But if that's part of who you are, then that's part of who you are. But calling people out by name allows them to still feel like they're here. And so, Miss Jill, I love that you said that, it makes you want to click off when you don't feel like you're a part of the inside jokes. I think it's so important that if there are inside jokes, that never forget to share what those jokes are. So now new people can feel like they are a part of the community. Because once you do, they're in there. When it's boring, and I'm not knowing what's coming. All right. So this is, again, one of those reasons why I personally think it's so important. At the very beginning of this show, I made sure I made it very clear exactly what we were going to cover today, right? Never think that you can over-explain what's coming next, because you never know when new people are dropping in the stream and people are dropping out of the stream. So when new people come in, they don't know what's happening. It's always helpful to be able to remind them what's going on. But I'll say this, in a future episode, I've got a little tool that I'm going to show you guys on how you can actually make this even better. But I have to say that for another episode because, we only have so much time today. All right. And then question from Mark. He says, sit down or stand up running a live stream. I personally think that this is a personal preference. I personally have two different setups. If you actually see our show that we do on Fridays, we're sitting on couches, we're sitting in chairs, and it's a little bit more of a laid back approach. However, I also think there's a moment like this where I'm sitting up in a desk chair, I'm looking directly at the camera, and I'm more engaged. I'm center framed, it's just me. Now, as far as should you sit down or should you stand up, I say whatever fits the energy that you want to have. At the beginning of this show, I started standing up, I was dancing, and I was walking towards the camera. That's bringing the energy where I wanted it for the stand-up. But then when it's time to actually sit down, get to the information, have a conversation, that's when I prefer to sit down. I think it's going to come down to whatever feels best for you and your audience, because ultimately your audience and your show is the most important thing that you're doing. Now, here's the big takeaway when it comes to the actual show and the replay and everything that you're doing, right? You want to make sure that you are organizing your content. And so today, in order to help me organize the content that we have right now, I'm going to go up here. Let's pull in, and we're going to pull up our little, let's see if I can pull this up. Gotta love live streaming, right? Let's go back to this chat here. Bow. And then we're going to pull up the Ecamm tip of the day. Now check this out. In Ecamm, you can use chapter markers and overlays to organize your content for replay viewers. So check this out. What I've just done is I created a visual chapter marker. This is something that I absolutely love doing on our stream. Sometimes we have full screen overlays. Sometimes we have just like comments that'll pop up from something in the chat. But it's always important to have a full screen or a digital overlay to help you out when it comes to creating those markers within your video. I think one of the hardest things you can do is to have to go back through your entire live stream, rewatch everything, and look for the value moments. But just like this, now that I have a digital overlay on the screen, this makes it much easier to find this moment. And so this is the Ecamm tip of the day. Have digital overlays to allow it to be easier for you to find moments that are worth clipping out, because those moments will make your life so much easier. Now, Ecamm has another tool. Ecamm has another tool that allows you to be able to create markers within your actual stream. And this is fantastic if you do plan to edit, or if you plan on sending your live stream files over to an editor, is you have the ability to create markers. Now, the way you do it inside of Ecamm is you just hit the M key while you're live and recording, and it will create a digital marker. And after you're done, you'll get an actual file that'll actually tell you where those markers are. However, I'll be honest with you, when I'm live streaming, I'm talking with my hands, every time I have to do this, oh man, I hate it. It absolutely ruins it for me. So let me show you guys a little secret. This is not what we're supposed to talk about today, but I couldn't help myself. I love gear, so I got to talk about the gear a little bit, right? And so if you have heard of a Stream Deck is a device. It's what I actually use to live stream. I've got one right here. It's got little buttons all over it. It allows me to switch angles, change my camera, all that fun stuff, right? But Stream Deck also makes something called a Stream Deck pedal. Now, it's got a little USB right there, and you can run that cable all the way into your computer, And then I literally leave this guy on the floor. And I'll tell you how I use it. I'll set one side to one camera, another side to another camera, and then I will step in the middle to create a digital marker. And what that allows me to do is if a moment happens and I don't have a digital thing on screen, or it's not a comment, or we're laughing and we're having a good time, all I got to do is think, step on the button. Step on the button. And then I can just keep rocking with the show, because then later on in post, I can go back and find those moments. And like I mentioned before, if you want to grow your live stream audience, if you want to grow what you do, you absolutely have to get into the habit of creating micro pieces of content, because this is what people are going to fall in love with and then ultimately desire more. So this is what I recommend. I know this episode is not about gear, but it's not a me episode if I don't talk about some piece of gear. All right. I mean, y'all can see it in the office. There's lights. There's microphones. I've already been destroying the Rodecaster over here. Love this tool, but it is so important for you to be able to mark down those moments to make it easier for you to be able to find those moments later on. All right. So now let's kind of talk through just the last little bit. What really made the difference when it came to uncensored? Now, I know the idea of creating a live stream, so important, right? But then also, how do you go about sharing, posting, creating these micro pieces of content that can be replayed or shared on social? Here's the thing. When it comes to getting your show off the ground, if you've never created short form content out of your live streams, or maybe you still haven't really considered live streaming like professionally, maybe you're still on the fence, right? Here's what I'm going to tell you. When you're just getting started, get it out there. Just get it out there. I have a philosophy when it comes to my live streams, and that is that, let me pull that back off, and let me pull that back off. I have a philosophy when it comes to my live streams, and that is I am building the show that I want to make. I think so many times when it comes to content creation, being a creator, whether that's on TikTok or on YouTube or Instagram or all these other places, there's always this conversation of, well, what's your niche, right? And then once you know your niche, you build content that your niche wants. But I do believe that there's a little bit of a lapse in judgment there, because if you don't enjoy it, then eventually you will get what you consider to be burnout. But really, it's just that you weren't really all in there anyway. And if you don't get the success or whatever that metric is to you in return for the effort that you're putting into it, that's where you're going to start to feel that burnout, right? So here's the deal. Instead of just making what you think the audience wants to see, make what you want to create for said audience. And I can tell you that it might be a little bit of a slower build, because you're not going to just be following all these random trends and just doing exactly what everybody else is doing. But when you build your audience, when you build your show, it'll be something that you're so proud of and that you're so excited about, that when it comes to the replay and the micro content, it actually becomes easier. Here's why. Step 1, build the show you want to produce. Step 2, shout it from the rooftops. Make sure everybody knows. How do you make sure they know? You go through the process of creating the shorts, the reels, the TikToks, the clips. And because of this, they're getting a direct idea of what this stream actually will be. Now, I'll tell you a quick story of how this actually worked for me. Like I mentioned, January 2024, I had been dabbling with live streaming towards the end of the previous year, and I made a commitment. I said, I am going to go live every single Friday for the next year. I'm just going to commit. I'm just going to commit to Fridays. And I'll be honest with you, it's not the easiest commitment. And so here's how I did it. I found the day that worked best for me. As I mentioned before, I'm a filmmaker. I run a video production company here in Houston, Texas. And so I typically am on set very often. but I typically don't book jobs on Fridays. I've always loved having my Fridays be chill so I can roll them straight into the weekend, right? I'll edit on a Friday, but I'm not really trying to be on set and stressed out on a Friday before I go into the weekend. So I decided, okay, I can do Fridays. Then it was like, what time works best for me? Well, 11 o'clock. Why 11 o'clock? Well, because at 11 o'clock, I can semi-sleep in. Well, I say sleep in. I don't sleep in because I got 2 kids and I got to get them off to school. But I can start my day off a little bit slower, get them off to school, and then, kind of like take my time, get into the office, set up the lights, set up the cameras, and then by 11 o'clock, I'm ready to go. Just like today. 11 o'clock, I'm ready to go. So I found a day, I found a time, and then I built a show structure that fit me. That is step 1. You have to do that piece. Because when you do that, then everything else works for you. So for us, I decided every single Friday we're going to go live at 11 o'clock, and that was going to allow me to do that consistently. Now, were there weeks that I missed episodes? Not really, because what we would do is in the situation where we couldn't go live, I would just pre-record something and share that instead. And so that allowed us the opportunity to still be able to go live and for me to feel like I was hitting that mark. Sometimes putting yourself on a schedule is the best thing you can do. From there, every single live stream, it started off with just trying to post one clip from the stream. Because it took me a while to figure out the flow. Like I didn't have this show, so wasn't even thinking about replay. I wasn't really structuring the shows properly to be able to pull clips out. But so at the beginning, it was like, let's just pull one moment out and make sure we share that. And it was, what moment can we package the best? Right? What moment can we create a thumbnail for? What moment can we create a title for? What moment is going to be the easiest for us to package to potentially bring in new viewers, right? And so that was our original plan. But here's the beauty in doing it on a consistent basis is you learn what it takes to make a good clip. Because here's what's going to happen, and I promise this will happen to you. You're going to go live next time, right? And because your good friend Brandon told you that you need to be thinking about your clips, you're going to go live, and after your live stream, you're going to be looking for a clip, and you're going to learn something. You're going to learn, oh, I didn't do a good enough hook. Or you're going to learn, oh man, the graphics are over my face and it doesn't look good. Or you're going to learn that, oh, I left chat on screen for too long and it doesn't work. You're going to learn something through the process of doing it. And the best part is, because you go live consistently, the next time you go live, you're going to be able to implement that new thing that you learned and apply that. Now, I'm going to try to help you learn from all the mistakes that I made in my journey, but I can tell you, it's going to help so much. So when we started with just one clip. And then eventually it was like, can we get to 2 to 3 clips? And along that time, AI started popping off with new technology and making things work and making our lives easier. Now we have ChatGPT. Now we have all these amazing tools to help with even creating thumbnails, coming up with ideas for thumbnails. And so it became much easier to generate these clips because we had all these additional tools that came alongside. And so that's one of the reasons why I personally strongly recommend this. So we did this for 6 months. And at that time, we stayed on my main channel. But what I learned really quickly was that I wanted to build a place just for people who are interested in my live streams. And so I launched a new channel telling people who were watching the previous, hey, we're going to be moving the show over to this new channel. Check it out. And I can tell you guys, in just 6 months' time, that show went from nobody really even knowing what it was. I didn't even really know what it was, but it went from 0 to over 5,000 subscribers. It was monetized, and it was able to start bringing in brands who saw the value in what we were doing because we were speaking to a specific audience. And here's just the secret. All right. Is this a safe space? Can I give a little secret? I'm going to teach more on this later when we talk about monetization. That's another episode in the future. But when you have a dedicated live stream audience, but then you also have a system for clips and replays, it allows you to not only monetize the live stream, but you can start monetizing the clips. I said it. It's true. It is the fact. So I'm not just trying to help you grow your audience, I'm trying to help you grow your pocketbooks too. So, big homie Brandon's got your back. All right. So I absolutely think it is crucial for you to start thinking about how you're going to be clipping that up. As I said, a year and a half ago, I had never even started live streaming. And then I dabbled. But then between learning how to stream, building that show, build the show with the clips in mind, because that really does help you structure out the entirety of your show. And just to go one step further, you then know exactly what clips you're going to be putting out. You'll know how to start thinking about your packaging. You'll start thinking about your titles. I mean, literally what you guys just saw on the whiteboard over here was the titles that we tweak them every now and again, but we pretty much come up with roughly what our titles are going to be. So that way we know how to attack those moments within the live stream. And then we ultimately build a show that allows you to be successful, allows you to know exactly what you're going to cover. And so check this out. I'm not even going to front with you guys. I wanted to show you guys this live. Check this out. This is literally the run of today's show. As you guys can see, I did this in ChatGPT. Not afraid to admit it. But I go in here and then boom. Why replay matters. Core education. Ecamm. Tip of the day. Earlier up here, I'm not sure if it shows it. But yeah, question of the day. As you guys can see, everything from today's show had a run. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to stay on topic, but also have moments where I know I'll be able to clip them out. Now, this is a live stream. This is like the most meta thing I've ever done. I'm doing a live stream, teaching you how to do a live stream about how you can create clips. But while I'm doing it, I'm also creating clips in the live stream. Y'all not ready for that. Y'all just not ready for that. But I can tell y'all, it is absolutely crucial that you do this throughout your streams. You will grow. You will be successful. And I can tell you this also, when it comes to the future episodes that we're going to be teaching on every single week, I will be building on these topics. So in the future, I'm going to actually show you guys the exact tools that you can use, and I'll show you how to use these tools to be able to create these clips. So next week, we're going to be talking about how you repurpose it to get that maximum reach. And I'll be showing you guys some of the AI tools that I actually use, how I actually go about crafting all of this and putting it out there. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's a link to the actual anatomy page on Ecamm's website. If you go there, you can actually sign up so that way you can get email notifications. You can be reminded when we go live. But before we get out of here today, I want to answer some questions. I'm sure after hearing me ramble on for about an hour, you probably are like, yeah, I got a question about this. Yeah, I got a question about that. But how do you manage? I want to hear your questions. So do me a favor, put a little Q, put a colon, and then type out your question for me so that way I can answer it for you, and that way we can provide you as much value as possible. Because I personally believe that anyone who hangs out with you live, it is your duty as the live stream host to provide them the most value. Value is not always answering questions. Sometimes it's entertainment. Sometimes it's having a good time. Sometimes it's community, building and cultivating a fostering community that can come alongside people. There's a lot of ways that you can provide value, but today I want to provide you guys some value before we get out of here. So I would love to hear what you guys' questions are as we get through it. Your question should look, so we have a little example from Mr. Moderator here. Says, question colon, your question should look like this. Otherwise, it's just a comment. So it helps us out a lot to know if you have an actual question, so that way I can kind of prioritize those. I'm not saying I'm just gonna only go after those, but definitely want to prioritize those. I do see a quick question that did come in that was before I put that, but he says, are you monetizing your clips on the show's channel or back on the original channel? So I have a channel dedicated just to live streams, and they're monetized on that channel. So it's crazy. I have sponsors, I have brand deals, and it's on a channel that only has I think we're getting close to like 6,000 subscribers at this point. But I will tell you, and I'll break this down way more in the monetization episode, but it has to do with having a very targeted audience, and it also is about how you reach out to the brands. Now, I can tell you as somebody who has two channels, one that has 150 something thousand subscribers and one that has like almost 6,000 subscribers. When you start getting into the higher subscriber range, yes, brands start showing up at your doorstep or your email box, and you have to kind of start sorting through those to figure out which ones are actually worth spending time with. But when you have a smaller channel, you got to be a little bit more strategic in who you choose to reach out to. But I can also tell you that if you have a very targeted audience, you have a very specific audience group, and you can understand the value of that audience, then you can absolutely monetize even with a small audience. Because what live streams do that nobody ever really taught me or really, made clear to me is if I make a 10-minute video, I garner about 10 minutes of your time if you watch it all the way through. But on average, if I'm on a live stream, I can garner anywhere between 20 to 40 to even some people up to 2 hours of their time. And when it comes to influence and when it comes to value to brands, that is very, very high. Think about how many TikToks you'd have to make to be able to spend 2 hours with somebody versus a live stream. It's very different. And the way you speak to that with brands will go a long way. All right, quick question coming in from Learner to Learner. Do you generate the chapters manually, or do you have some tool to help with this process? I'm John, by the way. John, so check this out. I have heard a few different tools. Now, one tool that I personally use is called Taja, Taja, and it is designed specifically for YouTube. I find that it does a really good job at creating title ideas, description ideas, as well as it goes a long way as far as like assisting in creating those chapters. Another one that I've seen, and this one actually came thanks to Luis, Mr. Camera Junkie, was he will actually take the transcripts of his YouTube videos and then upload that into ChatGPT and ask it to create chapters. And personally, I find that because ChatGPT has access to the internet and it understands things, and it can do research if it doesn't understand. Like if I'm talking about a specific camera, it might understand the camera model name better than like Taja will. ChatGPT does a really good job at doing that. And so when it gets more technical, I find that ChatGPT is better. But personally, I think Taja is just a great tool overall if you're doing YouTube. I haven't tried it, but Spotter Studio apparently is also really good. And then another question coming in from Livestream Consultant, who looks, I had to look at your icon twice because I was like, is he live, watching me live? But it's just the way it's designed. He says, what are your best practices to finding guests / co-hosts for podcasts and live streams? So personally, I think that when it comes to finding guests and co-hosts, you need to find somebody who you vibe with first. I don't really like that answer that I gave you but that's kind of the truth. Like, there have been people who have, reached out and asked to be on our show, to be a guest on our show. And if I don't know them really well, I want to make sure that we're going to get along live. So I'd like to hop on a call with them, talk with them, hang out with them. And that's because when people start hanging out with you live or they're listening to a long form conversation, the chemistry between the two people or multiple people, I think is sometimes even more important than the notoriety of the people, because everybody likes to have a good time. But they can tell if you're not having a good time and you're only having a person on because they're famous, right? And so I say find people who you already naturally have a good time with, and you probably are going to find those people in your contacts or in your DMs within Instagram already. As far as reaching out to guests, I think it's super important that you, again, this is where those clips come in handy, is you have a show that a person can see, understand, and get the concept of really quickly. And clips are a very easy way for you to do that. And so when you reach out to somebody, reaching out to them and sending alongside one of your best clips that shows the energy, that shows the excitement, that shows the type of questions that you're going to ask them, allows them to get a really good idea of what your show is, and ultimately will let them know if they want to come on. And then I'll take one final question from Miss Jill here. when did you join Ecamm and what took you so long? Well, I appreciate that. Look, I'll be very transparent. Doc, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm live, so who cares, right? So Doc had been trying to get me to use Ecamm for a while, okay? It was probably about a year ago that I made the switch. It's almost exactly a year ago. I was using another platform and was not happy. I won't say what the platform was, but I will say you could consider it a measurement of streaming. It's not feet. It's not meters. Yards, maybe? I don't know. So whatever they do, they help streamers measure. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying. All right. So I was using that platform, and it was just the quality wasn't good. It wasn't. I just didn't like it. Doc constantly was like, "You got to try Ecamm. You got to try Ecamm. You got to try Ecamm." I was like, "All right. Let's do it." After one stream, I was like, "Oh, I'm hooked. This is it. This is why." Doc, why didn't you just come to my house? Uninstall the last thing I had, install Ecamm, and keep it pushing. You know what I mean? He didn't do all that, but he should have. Fly from Hawaii to Houston and just do the thing, Doc. It makes my life easier. So I was super excited about a year ago to switch over to Ecamm. And I will tell y'all, this show, this anatomy of a live stream is something that I personally wanted to do because I was like, y'all, I have learned so much playing within Ecamm, and Ecamm just unlocked what I was able to actually do when it came to live streaming. Look, that sounds like I'm doing an ad. This is super meta, right? Like I'm doing an ad for Ecamm while I'm on Ecamm's YouTube channel while using Ecamm. This is wild. But I will say Ecamm made my job much easier from the ability to record the individual ISOs. The quality was great. 4K, y'all already know because y'all already here. But yeah, I switched over and it has absolutely been amazing. I'm super happy with it. Don't plan to go anywhere else. And I'm super excited to continue to hang out with you guys every single week. This is going to be an amazing experience. Hopefully you guys got value out of today's episode. If you did and you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. Please let Ecamm know y'all enjoyed this show, so maybe we can get a season 2. I'll probably try to trick them into a season 2, but let's get through season 1. Thank y'all so much for checking out this episode. I'll see you guys next week where we're going to be talking about some of the tools I actually use to repurpose the content. I'll show y'all some of the AI. I'll be actually working through it, but y'all better come with the energy. Y'all already know. We dancing on the intro, so I'm going to play the music, and even though I won't see you, I want you dancing on the outro. Thank y'all so much for tuning in this week. Can't wait to hang out with y'all next week, next Thursday, same time, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, and 9 o'clock Pacific time zones. Gotta love them. But thank y'all so much for rocking with me today. This has been a blast. Y'all are amazing. Shout out to Ecamm. Let's go. Appreciate y'all.